It's certainly probably not going to happen this year because they have a good team, people. I
Right.
hate to break it to you. They were a really, really good team, and they don't need a splash.
And a good undefeated Wednesday morning, Birds fans. Appreciate you're up and at 'em early with us here on Birds 365 on the JAKIB YouTube channel. Go ahead. How many people? We got about 50 people already logged in. Go ahead, hit that like button right off the bat. Eagles undefeated. You heard that right. Undefeated Wednesday.
Undefeated. You have been a man of your word. You're not going to skip undefeated while
No,
they're
as long as
undefeated.
they are. Why the hell would
Yeah.
I come on and lie? No, this is something you bask in. You honor on a daily basis. And hopefully it keeps going for a while and a while and a while and a while. We don't know how long that's going to last. But we know he got it all week this week. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have it all week next week. Pittsburgh Steelers coming to town. They have not had a lot of success in Philadelphia, be it at the Vet.
Yeah, how weird is that, Jody? That's just weird. I mean, they don't play here.
Worth.
Yeah, they don't play here very often. So I think the last time the Steelers won here was 1965 at Franklin Field. Now, if you think about it, Chuck Noll got there in 1969. So that became sort of the standard, record Super Bowl championships. They've only had 3 coaches. All of them have won Super Bowls. 2 of them are in the Hall of Fame. The other one's going to the Hall of Fame. But they can't win in Philadelphia. Now, it's only 9 games, but still, it's weird because the Steelers have been successful for the vast majority of that time. Yeah. It's very weird.
The Jets have never won in Philadelphia either, but unfortunately, I can relate to the fact that the Jets aren't always all that good. They're not a standard bearer in the NFL like the Steelers are. So the fact that they haven't won in Philly, they play here infrequently enough to go, all right, well, not that many games, but they've won none. Well, the Steelers haven't won none in the last 50 years coming here to Philadelphia, which is kind of amazing into itself. Oh, by the way, they come in and they're struggling. Nothing if they rolled in as a 5-2 team. No, they roll in as a 2-5 team. And right now they're going through some growing pains and they're not playing well. The Eagles are undefeated, as someone just noted, and they are 10.5 point favorite, double digit. Let me say this slowly. The Eagles are a double digit favorite over the Pittsburgh Steelers in those 9 straight games that they've won. I don't think they've been double digit favorites altogether too often. It looks like a mismatch on paper, Johnny Mac.
It is a mismatch on paper, and that's why they're a double digit favorite. Look, Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin talked about it yesterday. They're going to live through the growing pains with Kenny Pickett, and there's going to be some growing pains, and we've already seen some of them, and we'll continue. Yeah, it's hard to imagine, especially without TJ Watt, who's getting closer, but he's not going to be back for this game. They haven't been the same defensively without TJ Watt, who, if people don't know, is the reigning defensive player of the year, so he's a big deal. One of the best pass rushers in this league. They don't have them. They're not gonna have them. So yeah, on paper, this is a mismatch. And then you start talking about the dreaded, which we've talked about. The sign of a good team, Jody. I don't know. One of the signs of a good team when you constantly talk about trap games because they should win games, and you say, well, this is a trap. This is a trap. This is a trap. We've already said that a number of times for the Eagles. They're a good team, and they should beat teams like Pittsburgh.
And they are a 10.5 point favorite, as we've already noted. And the reason why it kind of jumps out at me, hits me maybe harder than it should, is because we're now 6 games into the season, we oftentimes forget exactly where we're coming from. At the end of last season, the Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers were basically in the same exact place. As a matter of fact, you're splitting hairs here, but the Steelers were in a better place than the Eagles. Eagles finished 9-8. The Steelers finished 9-7-1 with that dreaded tie on their record last year. They were both the last playoff spot to sneak in. They both got beat in the first round of the playoffs, and their season was over and done with. So you parallel the end of last season between these two teams. Say, all right, they're starting from basically the same place. The Steelers have one of the worst records in the National Football League, and it's the Eagles are the only undefeated team in the National Football League. I'd say the Eagles and Howie Roseman have had the better offseason leading up to this point by just a little bit. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, slightly. Anytime you lose a Hall of Fame quarterback in the offseason, you're going to have issues. And I know Ben Roethlisberger wasn't playing like his Hall of Fame self at the end of his career, but there's a big difference. And I mentioned this earlier this week. There's a big difference from a guy who knows how to play, who's seen everything. And yeah, he might be doing it more on savvy later in his career than anything else, but hey, whatever it takes. And they were a competent team with Ben Roethlisberger, and it's no surprise they're not a competent team without him. I mean, it's no surprise. It's hard to do unless you're in Green Bay, which, I always say the most spoiled fan base in the country. Philadelphia might give them a run over the next 2 weeks. We'll see how it shakes out, but they've had 35 years of consecutive Hall of Fame quarterback play. Generally, it doesn't happen. You might get one, and then you start feeling how the other half lives. The Steelers have had their own great run in a different way, but they're feeling how the other half lives, at least for the short term.
So the bye week is in our rearview mirror. We've had fun to be able to just kind of ease off the throttle a little bit with the Phillies doing what they're doing here in Philadelphia. But the attention now goes back to the Eagles, and they will share it with the Phillies because they're going into the World Series. Steelers coming to town the next couple of weeks. Eagles are not only going to be favorite like they are this week, but maybe big favorites like they are this week, double-digit choice over the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And Tuesday coming up is a day that will certainly grab the attention of the football fans around the country because that's the trade deadline. It's bigger than it used to be. Johnny Mac, you and I have both been doing this for a while. The NFL trade deadline used to be like on September 25th. You had to make a decision 3 weeks into the year. All right, do we want to make a trade? You don't even know if you've got a good team or not yet. The NFL has wisely just moved it back another week. Now it's into November 1st. So it gives a little bit more of a chance for a buildup of some extra conversation and extra scrutiny leading into the trade deadline. Howie Roseman's got a documented history of liking to make a move, liking to add a piece, liking to upgrade where he can. We've been debating it for 10 days to 2 weeks now, but we're now within a week of something as per the deadline having to get done. Howie got an itchy trigger finger right now?
Yeah, I think he always does. He likes to move. He likes to do things. He likes to, one of the things you talk about the trade deadline, the date has a lot to do with it, as you're right. But also the new age general manager has a lot to do with it. The old school guys like, well, you can't, and we've talked about this in the past, you can't plug and play in football. It's not like baseball. It's not like basketball. So you can't do anything. So what's the point? The more new school general manager, and I'd put Howie in that category, even though he's been around for a long time. He's more of a forward thinker, whatever term you want to use, more open-minded. He likes to do things. And look, you remember who they traded for last year at the trade deadline?
Last year?
Yeah.
No, who'd they got?
Kerry Vincent Jr.
Oh, okay.
So,
rather forgettable. Yes, I apologize for forgetting, but not really.
I was setting you up because I knew it wouldn't get. Nobody's going to get that. Basically, Jody wasn't trying to trip you up. If you look at Jannard Avery back in 2019, those are his last two draft deadline deals. That's more likely the route you're going. Everybody wants to go back to Jay Ajayi, and even Jay Ajayi wasn't it worked, right, but it wasn't Brian Burns splash. It was all right, we need some help at running back. Let's see if JHI's got what he's got, see if he fits in. It worked. Golden Tate would probably be the bigger splash. He was actually a splashier acquisition. You know, he made the play in the playoffs, ran the wrong route, as they always said, but made the play. But overall, he didn't fit in. Kind of redundant as a slot receiver. I remember I asked Howie Roseman at his post deadline trade presser. I asked him that question. Is there some kind of redundancy between Golden Tate and Nelson Aguilar at the time? And he said, no, Golden can play outside. Well, he couldn't play outside. So you had two receivers who couldn't play outside, and it didn't fit. That's your last four trade deadline guys. So, people can expect the splash every year. It's certainly probably not going to happen this year because they have a good team, people. I hate to break it to you. They have a really, really good team, and they don't need a splash. With third safety, backup tight end, returner, special teams player. That's what I think is odds-on favorite.
And Johnny, let me rain on the parade of those who are rooting for and think there's going to be a splash deal done between now and Tuesday. And one is a misnomer that I can't believe that some people have taken into consideration. Number one, the Eagles are not chock full of draft capital here in this upcoming draft. They actually only have, even though they've got an extra one, which is huge. Do you really want to trade that Saints pick that you have? I would think not. It has a chance to be really high.
Not right now, you don't.
Exactly. But, so they do have extra capital in the 2024 draft, which is nice, and you can offer. But a team might say, no, we're looking for something during this offseason. There's a reason why we're backing out of the competitive part of our schedule. We want to turn it around right away. That's the NFL. Nobody has a 5-year plan in the NFL anymore. So future draft picks don't carry as much weight as the next upcoming draft. So that has been overstated. And the other one is the Eagles have the most cap room in the NFL at the end of this season going into 2023. Yeah, they do. That's factually correct. Yeah, but what you're skipping is the fact that you've got how many starters who are free agents going into this season that you're going to want to bring back some, if not most, if not all of them. So that cap money is going to go pretty damn quickly and then turn around immediately thereafter. You got a quarterback who right now is the second choice in the MVP in the league. And he's playing for how much, Johnny Mac? $1 million and change this year?
$1 million and change, which is going to turn into
40.
What I would say Kyler Murray like money at the bare minimum if things stay at the status quo. Now you have a little bit of a cushion because you can extend him and still let him play out his rookie deal. Give him the money up front, sort of how he's great at that kind of stuff. But as you mentioned, especially defense, add it up. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, what are you going to do with Brandon Graham, James Bradbury, Kaiser White, TJ Edwards, Marcus Epps, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? It's basically the whole defense.
It's your starting unit on defense.
Yeah.
That's so we got more cap room. Well, the cap room's going to go like that when Howie has to try and get some of these guys back on contracts. No, by the way, with the way they're playing, that's why you're 6-0. None of them are coming cheap.
No,
they're all going up from what they're making right now. Nobody's coming back for less just because they're ego. No. They're all going to hit the market and they're all going to get paid. And it's going to either be here in Philadelphia or it's going to be somewhere else. So, stay narrow focused on the fact that they're 6-0. We're in the moment. We're talking about this season. But when you've got the NFL trade deadline, these are things you have to take into consideration going forward. If they were to be able to go out and get a big name guy who's making good money this year and's got more time left on his contract, that cap money is going to go like this. Okay, we'll bring in someone now, but that's just someone that is contributing to the team as we speak who might not be back because they're a free agent. That's why I'm with you, J-Mac. If Howie's going to do something, one of my favorite words is tinker. I think he may tinker. I think he may make a small move, a role player, something along those lines. Those who are thinking the missing piece, the Eagles are going to get the missing piece between now and Tuesday. No, they're not. Their pieces are in place.
Yeah.
You may get
What is the missing piece? I'll ask you, Jody. What is the missing piece? Is there a missing piece?
I honestly don't believe so, John. Who are you going to get? Who you're going to put in the starting lineup, just swap them in and swap somebody else out, and the difference is going to be so great that you go, oh my God, that elevates the Eagles so much. I don't think that player exists. And mainly it's because the Eagles are good. They don't need to move any of their starters. There isn't a gaping hole in this Eagles starting lineup right now.
No, there isn't. So, one is gone. One isn't going to go anywhere. But I'll throw the two names everybody talked about. Christian McCaffrey. Would he have made a difference? And Brian Burns, what kind of difference would he make if they made those splash moves? Because I know what I think, but I want to hear what you think.
You and I talked about it yesterday, and we disagreed on this a little bit. I think that this team is strong now. We're watching the Phillies do what they're doing. They're all patting each other on the back, saying, I do this for my teammate. I do this for my teammate. We do this as a unit. I believe it. They're selling it to me. They're doing a real nice job of making me believe they are a unit, and they all fight for the same cause, and it's their teammates. I think Eagles are similar in that way. I think they've got good leadership in the coaches. I think they've got a good leader at quarterback. I think they got a good leader on the defense, even though, as John pointed out yesterday, they're using him judiciously. Brandon Graham is actually getting less snaps than I thought he was. I'm just judging by the production. I'm going, oh, wow, BG's playing well. No, he's playing well in less snaps. Less is more. And that's the coaching staff doing it again. I don't think that bringing in a guy like McCaffrey would have decimated the chemistry of this team. I think they're tight enough as a unit that they could do something like that if they deemed it necessary. I just don't deem it necessary. Would McCaffrey have made the offense better? Yeah, probably at a major cost of draft picks and cap room. Brian Burns would scare me because one of the guys whose snaps would lessen even more would be BG. And I don't think you want to do that because he is one of those leaders on a team that you want to have everybody rowing in the same direction. That's one of the big reasons why I wouldn't look to add either of those two guys. McCaffrey would have not been cost effective, and Burns isn't a good enough player that I say massive upgrade. And that's one where it would scare me a little bit as to how it would affect Eagle chemistry.
Yeah, well, certainly from a chemistry standpoint, I think McCaffrey would have fit in. My concern would be his impact. He's so good, you got to get him involved, and that takes away. It's already working. Why do you want to get somebody else involved when what you're doing is working? That's my concern with Christian McCaffrey. With Burns, we're on the same page. It's like, how much better could it be than what they have? For some reason, Eagles fans, not all Eagles fans, they don't believe in Brandon Graham. They don't believe in Josh Sweat. And I don't get it. Watch the games. They're effective players.
And the Eagles are doing okay at putting quarterback on the pressure with their front four. Gannon has not changed. He picks and chooses when to blitz and where to blitz. He's never going to be an all-out blitz guy. For those of you who are holding your breath, hoping that's going to happen. It's not happening with Gannon. But they are getting enough sacks. They are getting enough pressures with their front four. Yeah, that's not a position that I think they need to upgrade. One of the reasons why we're talking about it, other than the calendar says we should, is that the trade deadline is coming up on Tuesday. Another thing we have to keep in mind, we just noted how many Eagle free agents there are at the end of this year. If they don't make a deal, if they don't get a contract done with a player, they could be leaving in free agency. That's where we get into the compensatory draft picks that could come back if the Eagles lose some guys. The best here in Philadelphia. I always go to his column. Oh, you got to come on compensatory draft picks. I got to see what Kempsky's got to say. Jimmy Kempsky from Philly Voice will be coming up next with us. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. You got your Mac and Mac Birds 365 guys.